the Longchendawi, the ramp. This was a T-28. Everything happened on that ramp. Greek, Jimmy Osuris, was our Air Ops guy, and he thought everybody was trying to kill him. So when this T-28 ran to the side of the Air Ops, he came running, "Why is everybody trying to kill him?" Digger and I went and tried to pull the pilot out. And I was on top trying to pull him out, but he was still strapped in. Digger pulled at my pants, and we undid his strap, but he had every bone in his body broken. Shuts rigging ship. And Colonel Chun, North Vietnamese Colonel Chun. After 1968, the Tet Offensive, when the Democrats went out, the Kennedy-Johnson administration went out, Nixon came in. Everything changed up in Laos. That protection that was afforded to military North Vietnamese went away. So the North Vietnamese showed up in force on the other side of the skyline. They showed up on the PDJ. They wanted to take Laos. They knew the United States was trying to get out. Nixon had said as much, so they could just do whatever they wanted to. And they knew the North Vietnamese. They put enough forces on the ground in Laos that the Hmong could not do anything with them. Example, Colonel Chun with the 165th. They attacked a position that we had north of the PDJ, north of Long Chin. And they were really putting it to a test. They brought in some Thai military to try and contest Colonel Chun, and the Thai military got chewed up. When another element came to play, and that was what we call the Taham Surpran. And it was, there were Thai forces that the Thai army recruited for us off the streets of Bangkok and Chiang Mai and Udon and Trot and Phuket. They offered them a good salary if they would come to work for what they call the King's Zone. The Thai people loved the king. They're still in mourning over his death. But he said, "This is my force. You come to work." And he asked them to put a gold speck behind their Buddhas and to recite the American lyrics, the lyrics to the American song, "The Impossible Dream." But he wanted them to go to Laos because we knew that the North Vietnamese forces that were building up to attack was more than our Hmong could defend. So they formed this, it was called 333 on the Thai side. We call them Taham Surpran, Tiger soldiers. And they were formed up in battalions of 550. 500 soldiers. Some of them had been taxi drivers one day, and then the next day they are in the Taham Surpran. And 50 were officers, former officers of the Royal Thai Army, and NCOs and radio operators and some medics. And they came together and they set up 2 units, so about 1,000, 1,100 men. They set up to bail out the Royal Thai Army that was being attacked by Colonel Chun. And here are the Taham Surpran that is moving up. And they did relieve the Royal Thai Army, and they came back. This is Unit 609. Somewhere starting from the left, counted back at 550. That was the 609 battalion. And then I think right next to it is the 608. This is only graduation. So after the Taham, 602 and 603 that went out to bail out the here they are being loaded up to go up north to work for us. This is the PDJ. That's Vang Pao, and that's another associate of mine. His name is Burr Smith, also the Clean. Remember in Ambrose's Band of Brothers? If you look on, if you got that book, you look up and you can find Burr Smith. So he's a holdover from the Band of Brothers, but he's with Vang Pao now out on the PDJ. We brought in the Taham Surpran that we had trained, and we put them on the PDJ because we knew the North Vietnamese were coming in great numbers. And we put them in positions. I had the Hmong. This is one of my soldiers from GM22. Here's another one of my soldiers. They don't quite look like the Taham Surpran, but they were guerrillas. And we had said all along, our guerrillas cannot fight North Vietnamese mainline. They can nip at their heels, they can shoot them from the back, they can ambush their supply lines, but they cannot hold a defensive line. They were my soldiers and all that. So we brought in the Taham Surpran, and we put in 4,000 on the PDJ, the sweeping area you saw Bang Pow. There were 1,000 put on there at Lion. Mustang, there were another 1,000. Another 1,000 up there at King Kong. Because if we knew the North Vietnamese attack, they were going to come here, and they were going to come here. The Hmong were there, and the rest of the 1,000 were in those positions. So 3,000 of the 4,000 that we had on the PDJ to defend against this pending attack from the North Vietnamese. You might remember if you were here the first day or second day, I said that they stopped me in U Doi. So because this big battle was going to erupt any time now. We had the satellites, we had the intercepts. We knew that they were out there. We did not know the numbers. There were 27,000 North Vietnamese laying in wait to attack our CIA army. And there's no publicity back home. This is our secret army. I think if we had known there were 27,000, we would have said, okay, adios, we're out of here. But we were there for the fight. The king had told these men to go and fight because the king of Thailand saw the fight better in Laos as they were coming to the North Vietnamese rather than on the border with Thailand. So 18 December 1972, they came 27,000 strong with their 130 guns and their sapper units and their men. Here's the, this is 608 or that's 609. I don't know what I've got there. It should be 609. Lion Artillery Base and Mustang, which was 607. So that's 2,000 men. And this was the hardest hit by Colonel Chung, the guy that is such a... Colonel Chung started this campaign with 1,800 men. Everybody still okay with this? We're going on now to an hour and a half. Everybody okay? I can stop anytime. His men were in charge of taking 609 position. This is hard-nosed. He worked with the Tahan Surapran, and he's a contemporary of mine. He was one of the dozen or so case officers that we had. This is a digger in the middle, my roommate Kayak on the other side. That's Ringo. I think I was the guy taking the picture. Here I am with my ops assistant. That guy is Nia. Lives in Los Angeles now as a grandfather. So that's your CIA paramilitary case officer getting ready to defend, his fight with his little guys against 27,000 North Vietnamese. And there's Jalan. Jalan was the ultimate, at the end, commander of the North Vietnamese Campaign Z, 27,000. He had fought Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore in the Ia Drang Valley in 1965. And he was one of the best generals the North Vietnamese had. And the generals, this Campaign Z, was sent down to kill us all. Kill the VC, kill the CIA, occupy Long Chin. That was their mission. Defeat was not an option. So they came like gangbusters. They came in waves, and they attacked on 18 December, and they pulled back. Their plan was, we have since gotten most of their battle plans and a lot of their after-action report. Their plan was to make a crushing first attack and then pull back, and then use their AA guns in close position and shoot down American planes and resupply that were coming in. And after about 4 or 5 days, re-attack. But what General An decided and General Chang was to go all out. So they attacked to begin with on 18 December, 19 December, by nightfall, they owned the PDJ. The 4,000 men that we had, some made their way south. Most of those that were in the forward positions we lost. They were either killed or captured. We expected Air Force support, although they attacked at a time when it was overcast. There were 2 F-5s that were shot down, F-4s that were shot down. And we lost 2 or 3 T-28s. But we lost so many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these Tahan Surapran. That turned the battlefield into this, if you'll follow with me. Are you ladies still interested in this? Huh? It's up to you. Okay. That's the PDJ. This is a mountain range and another mountain range, and you only had the Ban Hin Tan Pass for them to come through. Although the troops that were sent down to Long Chin were sent over this mountain, and some were told not to use paths. So we had been routed off the PDJ after 2 days, and the force there, the 27,000, what was left of it, was told to move on down north of Long Chin. The valley, the Long Chin Valley is here. Some were sent to the Ban Hin Tan Pass, not me. We were waiting to knock their socks off when they got here. But they sent them over this mountain, and they moved only at night. And we are not lethal at night. And that is Skyline. At the very top is Charlie Whiskey, Charlie Alpha pads, and that were our big defensive position. So we're off the PDJ, night of 19 December. But then the North Vietnamese at night, when the sun goes down, they start moving south. Here's another picture of it. Charlie Whiskey, Charlie Alpha, Charlie Tango, Charlie Bravo, Charlie Pad. And we were still operating in the valley. We brought in Tahan Suapran, see Charlie Tango, Charlie Alpha, Charlie Whiskey, Charlie Bravo, and up here Charlie. We had brought in some more Tahan Suapran, but we only had like 2 more in training. So there were less than 1,000 Tahan Suapran that we had to put on top of Ridgeline. That's all. And they had, we knew now, enormous numbers of bad guys to come in. Here it is, looking down from Charlie Bravo, or Charlie Echo, Charlie Bravo, Charlie Whiskey, Charlie Alpha. And that was our battlefield. This was the last straw. We have tapes of Nixon and Kissinger talking, and Kissinger said, Laos is about over. The end's about here. They just don't have anybody left. Well, what Kissinger did after talking with Nixon, Nixon expressed some disappointment, asked if there's anything that we could do. I think in that exchange we have on the tape, Kissinger said, not much, there's just nobody left. But what he did do is he put B-52 bomb and release authority to us in the valley. And on December the 31st, January the 1st, 1972, they started attacking up Skyline. They had moved to the PDJ. They had taken it by 19 December. 1 January, they are attacking up Skyline. Rounds are coming over, landing in the valley. But we had them at a disadvantage. Number one, we were working with the Hmong, and they knew every foot of the ground. So they were looking at the Hmong because we would spot them during the daytime. Now they had to be forward deployed. And there were only so many places for them to hide. And the Hmong knew where they could hide. And we suspected that they were hiding. One large group was hiding in this one area. So on like January the 5th, we ordered in ourselves. We had the release of authority. We could order in. We had 3 B-52 came in, and they dropped, how much? 112 tons, 122 tons on this one area, obliterated the 866. It just knocked knocked the fire right out of them. And the attacks after that sizzled. When we hit the jackpot with that one B-52 strikes, sort of took the fight away. But now understand too, there's a small group of us. There are only a dozen of us Americans up there, and we love the Hmong. Those people we love. The villagers there, and they didn't run. They stayed in the valley. They knew the enemy was right on the other side, and these proud Hmong people did not leave. And that was one of the reasons that we eventually won this fight, is because the villagers would not leave. And the North Vietnamese realized each one of them represented a soldier. And that's the shaman and some people on the route. On 14 January, however, the North Vietnamese, on the front pages of 2 newspapers in Hanoi, said, we have captured Long Chin, we have slain Bang Pao, we have killed the Americans, the war in Laos is over. Tomorrow, the next day, we'll be down in Vientiane and Long Phan. But we still held out. Hard Nose, who I showed you earlier, Hog, who I showed you earlier, were there all the time, and the Hmong were there. and we were getting in more time surprise at the hilltop. Although, almost darkest hour, one of them, 6:17, just deserted the whole group on top of the mountain. They said, "Hey, with this," and they just walked down from the mountain. Again, it's good while we had civilians. If the military had been there, they would probably shot, tried to force them back up the hill. But they walked down. I mean, they were mercenaries, not mercenaries. They were working for the Thai king. If they wanted to defy the king's orders and go, buy your conveyance. And they left, although some stayed and some came back. That devotion to the king ran pretty deep. But we held the top of the ridgeline. We lost Charlie Whiskey, though, after a while, to the sappers. But the sappers did not realize how tiring it was going to be to get to the top. And some of them were completely thirsty. They were beyond thirsty. If there is some way you can be beyond thirsty, they couldn't talk. Their tongues were blown up in their mouths. They couldn't think they were that thirsty. When a group, it's called GM30, came from Charlie Bravo all the way up to Charlie Alpha. They took a lot of casualties. But there's a Razorback ridge line, the Hogback ridge line. But they walked up that ridge line, took a lot of casualties, killed the sappers, and retook the tops. So the battle now was pretty much, they had lost their momentum. Bang Pow said, "Listen, I got an idea. What we'll do is we'll send some of my people the Hmong, back to the PDJs if we're going to cut their supply lines." And he says, "I know the North Vietnamese. They are fearful of being here with, call it deep in Laos, and they will retreat, some of them." And sure enough, they did. They sent half their forces back to the PDJ to protect their supply lines because Bang Pow had fainted that way, and it left us free to bring in more time surprise. But recruiting was going well. There were people standing in line to come and join this fight because we were giving them a $20,000 death benefit. A lot of these guys with tattoos, some of them right out of prison, some of them right out of that pedal camp, saw this as a way to redeem their name and their family that came to the countryside. If they died in battle, their families would get $20,000 and be enormously rich. So we had no problem for volunteers. The problem became, we improved our positions along the ridge line. They began to build a road so they could bring their tanks down. Figured there's no way we could stop their tanks, but there was. We had Bang Pow on our side. Bang Pow looked at the terrain, and you see that there is a hill 1800 there. There should be. I don't have my glasses on.
You got it.
So the road was coming down here, and there was hill 1800, and it was clear. They didn't know this territory. Bang Pow had grown up there. I mean, he had played soccer up and down hill 1800. And he said, "Well, it looks to me like they're planning to come down, go up hill 1800, and come around this way to attack us at Long Chin." And he said, "But their tanks can't go up 1800. I know for sure." So in place of our Tahan Surprise, they were placed in front of Skyline in this valley right here because Bang Pow was convinced they could not climb hill 1800. Boy, if they could climb 1800, they could come in around behind us. But we believed Bang Pow. And the Thai king believed Bang Pow. And the Thai generals believed Bang Pow. How do you get all the way there? So we started our focus on hill 1800, expecting the tanks were going to come down, and we were suddenly optimistic. Whereas before, when they were attacking, the B-52s broke their back. Now they were bringing tanks down. And you don't use tanks in the mountains. I mean, you can get a merit badge in Boy Scouts. You don't use tanks in the mountains. The stormtroopers will tell you that because there are only certain valleys they could go into. But they brought their tanks into the mountains, and Bang Pow could see they only had a certain way to go to attack us. and that was, they thought, uphill 1,800. They were going to scale back 1,800 so they could bring their tanks up. And they were going to come in behind us, and they were going to charge Skyline Ridge, and they were going to come into the valley, and they were going to kill us all, and they were going to be heroes of the communist state.
10 minutes, Mr. Parker.
This is one of the Ravens. His name is Steve Wilson, and he had Hill 1800 duty, but it was really, they were bringing in their artillery. Hill 1800 was it.
Tough
you
job.
can tell that's where
Someone's
they were
gotta
concentrating their forces. He was up over trying to spot targets around Hill 1800. Took a round there in the near the engine, and suddenly he's a glider up there in the mountains of Laos. But he was able to guide it around. He said it was so silent, it was like you can't imagine. So he's just gliding. But he was able to land in Montana and lives now in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that was it. They came down with their tanks, ready to climb 1,800. They worked weeks and weeks in trying to scale back that hill for the tanks to go up. So they had to come where we had laid out about 6,000 Tahan Suapran in positions. And so we're fighting their way, these tanks, through our Tahan Suapran with their laws and their anti-tank weapons. The Ravens took them apart. They ended up with three T-20, T-34 tanks. And Chung's 165th, the mighty 165th, the North Vietnamese Army, started out with 1,800 men. They ended with 7. 1,800 men they started out fighting. Bang Powell's ragtag, CIA's ragtag force there at the mountain. Ended up with 7 soldiers. The 2 tanks were coming up one morning. There was an Air Force guy who was a Spectre pilot. Is he here? Huh? Okay. So we were talking about, we had a Spectre. The tanks are coming up, and boy, we are shaking in our boots. Because, you know, we just can't stop the tank. Inspectors flew up with some of his buddies, maybe him, probably not. And they got a vision. They didn't have a visual. They had a heat-generated image of these 2 tanks, but they wouldn't fire. We got to have a visual. But Hardnose, the guy I showed you a picture of, had sent some of his guys down. He'd gotten some mines up. They had no idea how to plant a mine. Do you know how to plant a mine? They didn't know how to plant a mine. But
Carefully.
they went down and dug some holes and they put them in. And those 2 tanks hit Hardnose's mines, blew their tracks off. And General Ott, he said in his autobiography, I told the men we were beat. 100 days they fought. And at the end, he said, no mas. And they pulled back. Don't know how many of their 27,000 initially they drugged back with them. But an admiral, in talking with Nixon, said they left with half their forces, less than half their forces. That was the secret war of Laos, and I was privileged to serve with it. I've never served with men of such caliber before. I don't know how the agency got them. It wasn't a military approach to it. It certainly wasn't numbers. But the Hmong that work, one of my Hmong that I work is my half-brother, lives in Aberdeen, North Carolina. But that's the work, and nobody back in the States knew about it. It was our secret war. We did our job. And you understand where this all happened. We were way north, 200 miles from north, with all that fighting took place. But most of the fighting was down around Saigon. That said, we have a book signing now for those that would like to buy a book. If you would like to buy it and don't get a chance at this, please pick up a card and write to me. Stay in communication. I think Eric's got the calling cards. But I think wherever Nikki's going to put
Correction, sir. Calling cards are on the desk. The desk is set up. The books are there. You're ready to roll.
Okay. So thank you very much. Now, tomorrow we are going to talk about the evacuation. And for you you ladies who have had to put up with this military stuff, you'll hear about Brenda's participation in that and how we got 117 people out.